Hi, my name is Prabjot.
And my name is Ripin. Today we'll be talking about Newton's first law in action.
Here's Luke. He asks his teacher what Newton's first law is.
His teacher says that Newton's first law states that an object in motion will remain in motion unless acted upon by an unbalanced force.
But what does this really mean? So it means that when an object is moving, it will continue to move unless an obstacle comes in its path.
So let's say that there is a ball that is rolling at a constant velocity. It hits the wall and the ball stops. The wall is the unbalanced force that interrupts the ball from rolling.
What is an unbalanced force? An unbalanced force is a force that changes the object's state of motion. This means that it is something that changes the way an object is acting.
Newton's first law also states that an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon an unbalanced force.
So let's say that there is a ball that is still and isn't moving and is hit by a broom. Now the ball is moving because the broom is an unbalanced force that changed the motion of the ball.
But how is Newton's first law applied to real life?
Let's go and find out.
Was that Newton's first law?
The chair was in motion, rolling, and then the girl stopped it. Therefore, the girl's stopping force is the unbalanced force that changed the motion of the chair.
That must also be Newton's first law.
This is an example of Newton's first law because the car was in motion until it crashed into a log. Therefore, the log's force is the unbalanced force that stopped the car's motion.
This is also an example of Newton's first law, because the cart was at rest until the lady pushed it away, which makes the push force of the lady an unbalanced force.
What is inertia? It is the resistance of an object's state of motion, and it depends on the mass of an object, so an object's ability to stop a force from changing its state of motion.
However, don't confuse mass for weight. Mass is the amount of matter an object contains, whereas the weight is the measurement of the pull of gravity. The mass of an object doesn't change when an object's location changes. However, the weight does.
More mass means more inertia. The more inertia an object has, the more difficult to change the state of motion of the object. So the more mass an object has, the harder it is to move. Let's go see how this works. Here's the same lady that was previously pushing a cart, but now she's pushing a car and the car isn't moving. This means that the car has more inertia than the cart because the car has more mass than the cart. This is why the lady's pushing force and unbalanced force wasn't able to move the car.
Here's the car that comes to a stop.
Well, what's the unbalanced force acting on the car? There is nothing blocking it. The unbalanced force are the brakes on the car that stop the car from moving.
However, the passengers aren't controlled by the brakes of the car. So what was the unbalanced force that changed their state of motion to rest? Because they were moving with the car at the same velocity of the car.
The unbalanced force that changed the passenger's state of motion was the pulling force of their seatbelts. The seatbelts pulled the passengers back, which was the opposite way of the car's force, which means that the force was unbalanced.
That was Newton's first law in action.
We hope you enjoyed.
Created using PowToon.